Is 5,000 ONDO good enough for me? Well, in my case, I would say yes, even though that's not financial advice. And the reason why is because some people seem to think that this is a very low amount. But if, let's say, ONDO were to go to the price of $20, which is my price target for it during this bull run, at that point, 5,000 ONDO would theoretically be worth $100,000 because, of course, again, $20 times 5,000 ONDO, hypothetically $100,000. Now, first of all, some people may think, okay, that's actually not that much. Well, the way to take a look at it is this. First of all, many people that I know out there, or should I say virtually everyone, they're not just only holding ONDO in their portfolio, at least from what I've seen. I can't speak on everyone's behalf. But again, usually ONDO is one of their pieces in their portfolio. So if, let's say, I had this diverse portfolio, and let's say, again, one of the projects that I have on there is, let's say, ONDO, and I have 5,000 of it, and let's say it were to go to the price of $20, that becomes hypothetically $100,000. It doesn't seem so bad, especially if other projects in my portfolio do well as well during a fully fledged bull run. So again, I don't think it's that bad. Not to mention, I know some people out there with around $50,000 that have gone to travel the world for around 2 years. Now, they weren't going to 5-star hotels or 5-star restaurants every day. They weren't doing that, but still they were able to travel for a good amount of time, meet new people, explore new places, have new experiences. And in my opinion, just generally speaking, of course, again, they're able to travel. So the way to take a look at it is that sometimes, yes, again, I'm totally aware of the fact that $100,000, some people may not think it's that much, of course, depending on each person's situation. Also, not to mention homes are very expensive, but I view that as a pretty good down payment for a home. Not to mention, again, I don't think it's that bad. Anyway, take a look at it. Now, why do I believe ONDO could hypothetically go to the price of $20 during this bull run? Well, it's because I think ONDO arguably is one of the most interesting projects in the DeFi space. And of course, when I'm talking about DeFi, that is a decentralized finance. And I think this right here is actually a very massive market, or should I say could be a very massive market, because the decentralized finance market, aka again the DeFi market, is expected to exceed over $200 billion in value by 2030, according to Grandview Research. That's bigger than some countries' GDP. So that's very impressive. Not to mention, it's even been stated that at ONDO, they design institutional-grade platforms, assets, and infrastructure to bring financial markets on-chain. Now, I think this is very impressive because if we take a look at some of the statements of ONDO a lot deeper, we'll also see that it's also even been stated that they have a platform that's allegedly not available in the US currently. However, it does allow individuals to buy, sell, and trade thousands of tokens backed one-to-one by traditional stocks, bonds, and ETFs. Now, quite essentially, these are thousands of RWAs in just a platform. Now, some people may be thinking, okay, what is RWA? RWA stands for real world asset. And for instance, if we take a look at RWA tokens, they are digital representations of physical assets on the blockchain. Now, what are examples of something like this, for instance, right? The use cases can be, for instance, in the case of real estate, financial instruments like bonds and stocks. We take a look at even art. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, but I'm just naming a few here. So I think this is very amazing. Now, is ONDO the only project out there that I would arguably say has an aspect of RWA? Absolutely not. I mean, there's a bunch of other projects out there, but it doesn't mean it's bad. Some people out there seem to think that, oh, if other projects are focused on this too, that means it's a bad thing to be focused on it. Well, I disagree with that. I believe that if anything, if a lot of projects do have an aspect of this, it shows that it's working, of course, and it shows that, hey, maybe a lot of people do see a bright future in this. And could ONDO be one of the most premier players within this space, I would arguably say again, when it comes to RWA? I think maybe, or at least it has the hypothetical potential to, because ONDO has a very strong and passionate community. It's very well established. Take a look at the market cap. It's pretty big, relatively speaking. Not to mention, ONDO has good exchange listings. And again, the fundamentals are rock solid. So I don't see why it won't have a bright future ahead. That's just my point of view. When it comes to something that could potentially be huge, when it comes to the future of ONDO, is the ONDO chain, which allegedly is a purpose-built, or should I say is purpose-built for institutional-grade RWAs. Again, just like I mentioned before, I explained what RWAs are basically, especially when it comes to RWA tokens. Now, even besides that, we have to take a look at how ONDO is actually, arguably, in my opinion, focused on two very amazing markets that Ripple, aka XRP, and Stellar, aka XLM, are focused on as well. And what are those two markets? First of all, it's the payments market. which is currently valued at over $2 trillion. A very impressive figure, by the way, because if we take a look at the GDP of Brazil, Brazil is a very amazing country. We take a look at the GDP of Brazil last year in 2024, it was around $2 trillion. So again, I think that if anything truly puts into perspective that, hey, the payments market is really massive, or should I say, very amazing. Not to mention, we take a look at the global trade and finance market, which is predicted to reach up to $5 trillion in value by 2028, according to Mordor Intelligence. So that's very amazing right there. If a lot of people out there are saying, no, AI is better and all this type of stuff, here's my rebuttal to that, even though I do love AI. The AI market is predicted to reach nearly $2 trillion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. Again, just like I mentioned before, the payments market doesn't need to wait 5 years to reach that size. It's already valued at over $2 trillion currently. So that's how amazing it is. Not to mention, global trade and finance market predicted to reach up to $5 trillion in value by 2028. That's pretty much over double as to what the AI market is predicted to be worth in 2023, according to Grandview Research. So again, should AI have more hype and cool factor than, let's say, payments, global trade and finance? I would say yeah, because it's a lot more revolutionary in my opinion. However, in terms of actual attention, I think maybe global trade and finance, the payments market should maybe have more attention. This is just my perspective though. Maybe not in terms of hype, but again, in terms of the notoriety, I don't see why it isn't, but that's just my point of view. Now, ONDO at the price of $20, if it were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $63 billion. That's around a 23x from here, by the way. And I don't think it's too much to ask for because, for instance, we've seen Dogecoin exceed $80 billion in market cap back in 2021. And again, I don't think this is too much to ask for in the grand scheme of things, especially when I consider just how special ONDO is. Not to mention as well, there's currently over 600 million crypto owners according to Crypto.com research. I mean, that's more than ever before in history. Back in the peak of the 2021 bull run, there was roughly around 300 million crypto owners. Now, again, there's over 600 million. I just believe that this born could be a lot more special. And when I take a look at ONDO, I don't see why it won't go along with the ride. As the old saying goes, a high tide raises all ships. I think something as special as ONDO could hypothetically join that ride, and I really can't wait because altcoins usually, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. And the last Bitcoin halving event happened in April of last year, so 18 months from then would actually mean around October this year. So I think that, if anything, kind of gives a good benchmark. Now, this is no surefire date, of course, because this is based off history. There's no telling if the future is going to repeat what history did. But the way to take a look at it is that I'm going to still pay attention to that nonetheless, because I just think with all the bullish factors we have right now, like for instance, the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF, and also the anticipation for the Solana ETF in Canada and the impact that could very well have, especially moving forward, especially after it's kind of proven itself for the whole crypto space overall. Yeah, I just don't see why what we saw not too long ago in terms of the peak of cryptos, I don't see why that was the actual peak. I think better days are ahead. I'm totally aware of the fact that the bull run is going to end eventually, but I don't think it's over just yet, which is why I'm still going to stay patient, continue to accumulate hold. And the way to take a look at it is that at least 5,000 ONDO for me doesn't seem that bad. That's just my opinion. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's only the captain. I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm all peace. Bye.